Yo, it's your boy Fro. Before I start this review, I just wanted to say that this is going to be shot pretty much all over the place because I've had a pretty busy week jumping back and forth and handling a bunch of stuff at the same time. So I hope you enjoy, crack a brew, smoke one, and peace.
Now, let's begin.
3, 2, 1.
Alright, y'all, it's your boy Fro Thizzle in the building. And today I'm going to be talking about the 2004 remake or reboot, Dawn of the Dead, directed by Zack Snyder, starring Ving Rhames, Mekhi Phifer, Sarah Polley, Ty Burrell. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. I have to admit, this one's very nostalgic for me. I was 7 years old in 2004 and terrified from watching this fucking movie. But growing up since then, I've come to look at this film as more of an action horror flick. We follow a nurse named Anna, played by Sarah Polley. The first couple minutes are pretty peaceful. Anna drives on her way to her house to her husband. After doing their thing in the shower, they wake up and they see the rollerblade girl from across the street standing in their hallway looking at them with blood all over her face. The little girl rushes the room, jumps on the husband, takes a fucking bite out of his neck. The husband turns into a zombie rather fast. Anna runs into the bathroom, she escapes out the window, and the zombie husband is rushing full speed after the car, which I always thought was a pretty freaky image. As Anna's driving through the city, we see total chaos, buildings are on fire, zombies are chasing after people like Usain Bolt. She stops near a broken down bus, the driver tries to hijack the car, which makes her steer off and crash headfirst into a tree. This film has one of my favorite opening credits of all time. I know that's very high praise, but I love how Johnny Cash's When the Man Comes Around is playing over all this news footage of the world going crazy as the apocalypse pops off. We cut to Anna, she climbs out of the car, coming to her conscious, and we meet my personal favorite character, Kenneth, the cop, played by a badass Ving Rhames. Anna tags along with Kenneth. Kenneth is scoping out the premises with his shotgun, and they come across Andre, played by Mekhi Phifer, with his pregnant wife, Luda, which I always thought was a weird name for the pregnant character. And we also meet a pretty cool guy named Michael, played by Jake Weber. After they introduce each other, they come across Monroeville Mall. After having some trouble going through the entrance and getting chased by a handful of zombies, they manage to get inside. Here they meet the security guards of the mall, CJ, Terry, and Bart. CJ's played by Michael Kelly, who I think puts in a good performance. Despite being a douchebag and having snarky remarks through the film, CJ's one of my favorite characters. When our group of four meet the security guards, it becomes standoffish. They have guns pointed at each other when the elevator opens. CJ calls Ken Shaq, which I always thought was a pretty funny one-liner.
What are you doing?
For a brief amount of time, CJ and Bart have our main group locked up. Eventually, Terry's the one to let them out, and they put CJ and Bart in the cage instead. An even bigger group comes crashing through the mall with their big semi-truck. Some of the characters that we meet from the truck are Norma, Nicole, and Steve, played by Ty Burrell, who's another sarcastic asshole that gives me some pretty big laughs.
Hey, I'm sorry. Excuse me. When you two fellas are done blowing each other, maybe Davy Crockett can tell us the deal here.
The groups combine, they continue to hold up in the mall. We're also introduced to a guy named Andy, who owns his own gun store across the street. He's on his rooftop communicating with Kenneth through whiteboards and markers. And I always loved the Andy character. I thought he was badass, even though we don't get to really see him spend time with our main group, personally.
Holy shit. You got him. Rosie O'Donnell. Tell him to get Rosie.
Oh yeah, Rosie.
Nah, too easy. Give him something hard.
Anna's death scene is a bit sad when Ken is the one that has to shoot his head off with a shotgun. We have a pretty freaky scene in the middle point of the film where Andre's pregnant wife goes into labor and delivers a baby that turns out to be a fucking zombie. This is the only scene in the film that I feel is a little bit laughable and out of place, But I will admit, I did think that scene was one of the creepiest things ever in a theater. It's just a bit weird to me now. The old lady Norma discovers what's going on. Andre freaks out. He shoots at Norma. Norma shoots back at him, and they go into a mini gunfight. They both end up killing each other, which attracts the main group. They come running. They discover the zombie baby also, and they shoot it in the head. We follow with the montage of our characters settling into the mall. We have a jazzy, upbeat cover of Down with the Sickness playing. There's a pretty nice action scene where a group of the fellas go down in the parking garage, and a swarm of zombies barge in and start chasing them through.
That dog's just fucked up.
One of the security guards, Bart, gets eaten, and they have to leave him behind. CJ, Michael, and Kenny are trapped behind some fences. Zombies are climbing over, and CJ and Ken are blasting away with shotguns. They light up a match, and all the zombies burn to a crisp. One thing that I thought was a little bit dumb but I can overlook is when they use Nicole's dog as a distraction, and they lower him into the crowd of zombies to get the sandwich over to Andy, who's starving and hasn't eaten in a long time. The dog manages to make it to Andy's store, but zombies also crawl inside and eventually bite Andy. Nicole freaks out, drives in the truck, and goes after the dog. And I will admit, this is the biggest facepalm moment for me in the film. Nicole makes it inside the gun store too, but finds zombie Andy. And I always thought this part of the scene was very creepy and well done. Our group on the rooftop has a walkie-talkie, Nicole has her walkie-talkie, and they're going back and forth trying to see what's going on with Andy. The way Nicole's panicking over the walkie-talkie and how she eventually finds Andy and how we can hear it over the talkie, I thought was pretty cool. Nicole manages to hide in the locker until the group comes to get her later. Our main group decides to head for the water in the docks when Steve says that he has a boat. And we have a pretty dope sequence when our characters are transforming and building up two buses that they found earlier in the film. The main group splits up, they take two buses headed towards the docks, they pick up Nicole, and that's where Ken kills zombie Andy. And we have a really cool shot where the two buses are going through a huge, gigantic horde of zombies. They flip the lid on one of the buses, CJ climbs to the top with the gas propane tank, he throws the tank in the crowd, and a huge muscular zombie's about to throw the tank back, but CJ shoots the tank before. This clears the path for both buses, and we see a gorgeous shot of all the zombies affected as they slowly fall over. Along the way to the docks, a zombie jumps on one of the buses, which makes it flip over. And we get a gnarly kill where one of the members, Glenn, has a chainsaw and accidentally cuts one of the girls, Monica, in half. One of the more gruesome kills in the film. And the special features on the DVD show how this was done, with a dummy and a prosthetic. These two are the only ones that die in the bus. Steve comes to his conscious and hops out, but he gets jumped on by a zombie and bitten.
Sweetheart, let me tell you something. You have my permission. If I ever turn into one of those things, do me a favor, blow my fucking head off.
Oh, yeah, you can count on that.
Steve!
I got him.
Damn.
The other group stops to see what's happening with the other bus. They all regroup. CJ gets trapped in one of the buses. A bunch of zombies come pouring in one by one. He has only two guns. He's emptying both magazines. And he ends up sacrificing himself when he shoots one of the propane tanks. Not only is CJ one of my favorite characters, but he also has my favorite death scene in the movie. Definitely the most badass. The horde continues to roll in, and we see our final survivors, Anna, Nicole, Terry, Ken, and Michael, are getting ready to escape on the boat. But as Anna's untying the rope from the dock, Michael reveals that he was bitten. Michael stays on the dock and watches the boat with Anna drift off. Anna's looking back at him, we see a gun in Michael's hand, and the sound of a gunshot rings off when we cut to black. And that's the end of the movie. But it kinda isn't. Through the end credits, our survivors are on the boat and we're seeing some footage from a camcorder that they find.
Get the damn camera out of my face.
We see old footage of Steve on the boat messing around with some girls. We see the crew come across a decomposing corpse on another boat. And they finally reach an island. They get off the boat, they're scoping out the island, Ken's at the lead with the shotgun, and we suddenly hear tons of zombies getting closer and closer until they're finally revealed and they rush the crew. And here we get an ambiguous ending. We don't know if the group survived or not, because the way that the camera's filming is strictly on the zombies. So we don't know if the cameraman either dropped the camera and ran off, or if he got eaten by the zombies. We don't see Ken, Nicole, Terry, or Anna die on screen. If you ask me, yo Fro, do you think they survived or they died? I'm torn in the middle, admittedly, but I'm gonna go with the they survived. Because I never loved her character, maybe Nicole got murked, but I'd be happy knowing if any of them survived. And I do love this one. It's one of my favorite zombie films ever. And this is coming from somebody whose team slows zombies. I can't enjoy fast zombie films. This is the biggest example for me. But my heart is the Romero slow staggering, flesh-eating zombie. But I do gotta admit, a zombie running fast at you is scarier than a slow zombie. So I personally suggest that you check out the unrated director's cut instead of the theatrical version, mainly because there's a bit more character development in the director's cut and some extra nice shots of gore. But it did mess me up realizing certain key scenes were very heavily edited in the theatrical version. For example, the zombie baby scene. In the theatrical version, we only see the zombie baby and then we cut away and hear a gunshot, but in the unrated version, we see a gun getting placed to the zombie's head, and then they cut away with the gunshot. It may not be a big difference to other people, but it was for me. There was a little romantic scene when Michael and Anna in the bus that was cut out that would have made a little bit more sense at the end when she's tearfully saying, "Oh, not you, not you." In the director's cut, there's even a funny scene with CJ and Terry, where CJ's reading from a book talking about the key elements of trust. But again, I suggest the director's cut. This movie has a big cast of characters that are very colorful. We have a lot of witty and snappy dialogue going on between everybody, which I really enjoyed. The zombies are menacing, fast, aggressive, creepy. The main example I can think of is the fat lady zombie that they bring in from the truck. That was the biggest scare for me in the theater. And I thought the practical effects on the overall gore were fantastic. Monica getting chainsawed in half by Glenn is a pretty gruesome death. And this is a movie that I can rewatch 100 times. Never really get old of it. I also think this flick has some of the best special features ever. You can find them all on YouTube, but there's a really cool segment where Andy, the gun store owner, is videotaping himself going through the process of the apocalypse. It even ties into the survivors in the mall, which I thought was really cool. I'm blanking on the actor's name, but fantastic job playing Andy. And there's another bit on the special features that I thought was very creepy and well done. It's mainly through the eyes of a newscaster, but we also have characters like doctors and weapon instructors. But we're seeing from beginning to end. The days get crazier and crazier. There's a map of the US with red dots that are supposed to represent the zombies. And we see the red dots grow bigger and bigger as the days go by. I really recommend to check out that segment. It should be on YouTube still. Wrapping it up. I do love this movie very much so, but I am Team Romero, and the original film is one of my favorite movies of all time. I have the 78 movie right here, and I have the 2004 flick around right here, so they're nearly close to each other. I just hold the original movie in very high regards, but I'm gonna give the 2004 remake, Dawn of the Dead, a 9 out of 10. And that's it, y'all. It's your boy Fro Thizzle. Until next time, peace.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.